The afternoon sun slanted low over the rice fields, casting a honey-gold glow on the narrow road that wound toward Uncle Utsang's house. Sun pedaled slowly, his bag of notebooks and a small camera dangling on the handlebar. 2 years out of university, a degree in zoology in his pocket, and now on his way back to Long, and after months working in the city, he felt like a boy again, heading home for Tet. The house of Uncle Utsang sat behind a low bamboo fence, shaded by a grand old mango tree whose branches stretched wide like arms of a guardian. The smell of wood smoke and dried fish wafted from the kitchen. Sun parked his bicycle, wiped the sweat off his forehead, and called softly, "Uncle Ut, it's me, Sun." The door creaked open. A stout man with sunburned skin and bright eyes stepped out. "Troy Dat, my nephew, come in, I told the folks. My boy from Vin Long is coming today," Ut Sang said, his voice warm as fresh tea. Inside, at a low wooden table under the mango tree, 2 other men were already seated. "Let me introduce you," Ut Sang said, pouring tea into small cups. "This here is Uncle Ba Min from In Min, Kien Jang, and that there is Old Man Bei Thang, a farmer from Lang Bian, Dong Top Muoi, and this," he turned proudly, "is my nephew Sun from Vin Long. He studied animals, knows all about them." Ba Min raised his cup, his hands rough from years at sea. "So you're the one with the books? Huh, sit down, boy." Sun smiled politely. "Yes, sir." The tea was dark and fragrant. A breeze rustled the mango leaves above. Chickens clucked somewhere near the fence. Ba Min leaned forward. "Since you studied animals, tell me, which one is the most dangerous? Especially reptiles. We've heard so many names, but which is the king of venom here in Vietnam?" He lowered his voice, as if sharing a secret. "I have a friend in Ninh Thuan who works the sea. He says the men out there all fear one snake. Very venomous, he said. A bite from it, you might not make it to shore. Do you know what kind of snake that is?" Sun cleared his throat. He had answered questions like this in lecture halls, but never under a mango tree with teacups and cicadas singing. "Well, uncle," he began, "around the world there are about 3.500 species of snakes, and roughly 600 of them are venomous. In Vietnam we also have many dangerous species, cobra, banded kraits, and others." Ba Min interrupted, eager, "But which one is the deadliest here? If my friend's right, it's in the sea." Sun nodded. "Yes, your friend is correct. The Perran sea snake, sometimes called the horned sea snake, is considered the most venomous snake in Vietnam. It lives in our waters, surfaces to breathe because it has no gills, and it loves coral reefs where small fish gather. Its venom is ranked among the top 5 in the world, behind only the inland taipan and a few others. Fishermen must be very careful." Old Man Bay raised his eyebrows. "I always thought the king cobra was the worst. Turns out the sea holds more danger than the forest." Ut Sang beamed, proud of his nephew's clear words. He refilled the cups and turned to Bei Thang. "Hey, Bei, back in Dong Top Muoi you had lots of wild land. Ever met a king cobra yourself? Sparkles, don't forget to hit like, thumbs up, support and subscribe to Voices of the Mekong. Sparkling heart, speech balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback means a lot to us. Folded hands, thank you so much for your support." Bei Thang chuckled, his voice like gravel. "Ran there are plenty, water snakes, rat snakes, even the ho mang, not as many as before, but deadly enough. I remember once a family from Vin Long came to clear land. The boy stepped on a cobra as thick as my arm. It bit him. He managed to chop it with his machete, but he was in bad shape. We tied a cloth above the bite, rushed him to old Mr. Nam the healer, he could draw venom out. Saved many lives." Sun poured tea for the old man. "Cobra venom is indeed dangerous. Even after first aid you should go to a hospital for antivenom." Ba Min looked impressed. "Then tell us more about this king cobra. How dangerous exactly?" Sun thought a moment, then spoke. "The king cobra is the longest venomous snake in the world. It can inject 200 to 500 milligrams of venom, sometimes up to 7 milliliters, enough to kill dozens of adults or even an elephant within half an hour. Anyone walking in dense forest should be careful." Ut Sang's eyes glimmered with pride. "My nephew speaks like a teacher." He leaned back, telling a story about a neighbor named Tu who trapped snakes with bamboo cages, and once got bitten by a banded krait. The men laughed and shook their heads, their cups refilled. The smell of chicken soup drifted from the kitchen, promising a good meal after the talk. The evening air in Longan smelled of damp earth and burning straw. Under the same mango tree, the men now sat around a low tray of steaming chicken porridge. Shredded meat mixed with herbs, and grilled snakehead fish dipped in tamarind sauce. A small bottle of Goden rice liquor sat in the middle. Catching the glint of the kerosene lamp, Ut Sang lifted his cup. A toast, he said, to family, to friends, and to not stepping on snakes. Everyone laughed and drank. After a few bites, Old Man Bay spoke, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. Boy son, you said earlier about the banded crate. The cap near. I once saw a man in our hamlet bitten at night. He almost didn't make it. Is it true their venom works slower but deadlier than the cobras? Son nodded. Yes, uncle, the banded crate is shy, mostly nocturnal, but its neurotoxin attacks the nervous system. Victims may not feel much pain at first, but breathing stops later. That's why people fear it even more, because the danger creeps up quietly. Bar Min leaned closer. In the sea we have our own nightmares. Perrin sea snake, Dubois sea snake, all beautiful and deadly. Once, I pulled up a net and found a sea snake tangled in it, shining like polished stone. I cut the net and let it go. Didn't dare touch it. Son's eyes lit up. That was wise. Even though their venom is strong, sea snakes are usually not aggressive unless provoked. Most bites happen when fishermen try to handle them. Ut Sang chuckled. So the best way is leave them alone. Hen, that's right, Son said. The old wisdom, Tran Voi Chang Zai Mat now, applies here. Avoidance is the best medicine. The conversation shifted to local remedies. Bar Min recounted a story of an old healer on Phu Quoc who used herbs to treat bites. Bei Fang spoke of a ritual involving smoke and prayers in the deep swamps of Dong Top Muoi. The lamp flickered as moths circled it, the night thick with the chorus of frogs. Sun listened intently. Part of him, the scientist, wanted to catalogue every species and every folk remedy. Another part, the boy from Vin Long, simply felt the warmth of these men's voices. The stories braided like the channels of the Mekong. Then Bar Min asked, "You're a man of science. Son, all this talk of snakes, do you think our old cures really work? Or is it just luck?" Sun set his cup down, thinking carefully. Some herbs may help reduce swelling or slow the spread of venom. But the only proven treatment for venomous snakebite is antivenom. However, he smiled gently. What truly saves lives is quick action, tying a band, staying calm, and reaching medical care fast. The rest, prayers, herbs, may help the spirit, and that too can give strength. Old Man Bay grunted approval. Science or no science, saving a life is saving a life. The meal under the mango tree stretched long into the night. Crickets chirped in the dark fields. The kerosene lamp cast soft yellow rings on the wooden table. After another round of porridge and rice liquor, the stories began to flow like the Mekong itself. Bar Min poured a little drink for himself. "Listen here, boy," he said to Sun. "Years ago, off the coast of Bar Ria, Vung Tau, my crew hauled up a trawl net. Among the fish was a sea snake, shiny black with pale bands. I knew enough to be careful, but one lad, new to the sea, tried to grab it with a rag. The snake coiled, struck at the rag, just missed his finger. If it had bitten him, I don't know if we could have reached shore in time." He shook his head slowly. "We cut the net, let it slide back, lost some fish but kept our lives." Sun nodded, leaning forward. That was the right thing to do. Sea snakes often get tangled but rarely attack unless provoked. Their venom is highly potent but they deliver only a small amount in most defensive bites. Still, one bite can paralyze breathing within minutes. Ut Sang looked up from his bowl. "Back in my youth, folks would say, sea snake bite, no herb can cure. Maybe that's why the fishermen respect them so much." "They're right," Sun said. "There's no folk cure for that kind of venom. Only antivenom and supportive care in a hospital can save someone." Old Man Bay chuckled dryly. "Where I live, the swamps taught us another lesson. You don't need to be bitten to suffer. Just fearing the snakes can make you sick in the head." He began a story. "Once, deep in the reeds, I followed a trail to check my traps. The fog was thick. I stepped on something soft. My heart jumped. I thought it was a python or a cobra. Turned out to be just a big clump of roots. But I swear, for a moment I felt my soul fly out. That's when I learned, stay calm first. Panic kills faster than the snake. Bar Min raised his cup. To staying calm, he said. They all drank. The night deepened. In the distance, a boat's engine hummed on the canal. Fireflies blinked among the mango leaves. Timut came out with a plate of green mango and salt chili. Eat some fruit, she said. All this snake talk makes me nervous. Sun laughed. Sorry, auntie, but talking helps us know how to stay safe. Bar Min leaned back, looking at the young man. You know, son, we talk about snakes like the devils. But you've studied them. Are they really all bad? Sun shook his head. No, uncle, snakes play important roles in nature. They control pests. They're part of the balance. Even venom, when studied, can lead to medicines for humans, like painkillers or treatments for blood clots. They're not devils, just wild animals trying to survive. Sang smiled. That's new to me. Never thought a snake's poison could help people. It's true, Sun said. For example, scientists have derived compounds from viper venom to treat heart attacks. We're still learning more. Old Man Bay sipped his tea. So maybe one day you'll make a medicine from our capnia. Sun grinned. Maybe, but for now, best not to get bitten. They all laughed again. As the night wore on, Sang brought out a deck of cards but no one played. Instead, they traded more tales, about pythons sneaking into chicken coops, about mysterious ghost snakes seen near old temples, about fishermen finding skeletons of sea turtles with strange bite marks. Sun listened, adding a scientific note here and there but never spoiling the magic. When the lamp began to sputter, Sang stood. Tomorrow, if you're not too tired, son, we'll visit the old Kajuput swamp. Bay here says there's still wild land there. You can see your snakes in real life. Sun's heart quickened. I'd love that, uncle. It's one thing to study specimens, another to see them in their world. Then it's settled. Bar Min said, we'll go early, before the sun rises. They finished the last of the tea. The night outside buzzed with frogs and crickets, and the stars hung like silver pins over the dark fields. Sun thought of the swamp ahead, of the men beside him, of the woven net of old knowledge and new science. In the heart of the Mekong, under a mango tree, a quiet pact was made. Tomorrow they would walk together into the wild. The next morning before dawn, a thin mist lay over the fields like a blanket. The call of a rooster echoed from somewhere beyond the canal. In Uncle Sang's yard, the old men were already up, squatting by the hearth, boiling a kettle of tea. The smell of wood smoke and fresh rice husk filled the air. Boy, son, you awake yet? Sang called toward the guest room. I'm coming, uncle, Sun replied, buttoning his long-sleeved shirt. He stepped out with his notebook and a small camera slung over his shoulder. Bar Min stood by the gate, a conical hat shading his eyes though the sun was still just a pale smear. We'll need boots, he said. The Kajuput swamp is wet this time of year. Old Man Bay carried a bamboo pole and a canvas bag. I brought some herbs, just in case. Even if science says no cure, these calm the heart. Sun smiled. Thank you, uncle. Calmness itself can save lives. They shared a quick breakfast of sticky rice and dried fish. As they ate, Sang began telling a story he had heard from his grandfather. They say, deep in the swamp, there's a great white snake. Not a python, not a cobra. People call it Onglon. Appears only at dusk. Protects the land, those who harm the forest. He punishes those who show respect. He guides home. My grandfather swore he saw its shadow once, sliding across the water like a beam of moonlight. Bar Min chuckled. Every region has its spirit. We call ours the Lady of the Sea. When she's angry, storms come. Sun listened, fascinated. In science we don't record spirits, but we do know of rare albino snakes. Sometimes legends begin from real creatures. Old Man Bay raised an eyebrow. So your Onglon might just be an albino python? Possibly, Sun said, but the meaning people give it, that's culture. That's important too. They finished their tea. Sang clapped his hands. Enough talk. Let's go before the sun climbs. We'll walk the levee to the swamp. They set off along a narrow dirt path flanked by rice paddies glistening with dew. Egrets lifted white wings ahead of them. The path wound into stands of Kajuput trees. Their roots twisted above the water, and the air grew cooler, rich with the scent of damp leaves. As they entered the swamp, Sun paused, taking in the sounds, the whir of dragonflies, the splash of a fish, the distant croak of a frog. He scribbled notes in his book. This ecosystem is alive, he murmured. Bar Min looked around warily. Alive with snakes too. Sun pointed to a tree branch. See that shape? That's a green vine snake, harmless. Feeds on frogs. They moved deeper. Sunlight filtered through the trees in golden shafts. Once, a small snake slithered across the path. Bei Fang stopped, raised his pole to block it, then lowered it when Sun said softly, "Non-venomous, let it pass." For hours they walked, the old men telling stories of the swamp, places where people got lost, where fires burned without wind, where crocodiles once lurked. Sun balanced their tales with scientific notes. But he did not laugh at the myths. He felt them like undercurrents beneath the surface of knowledge. At a small clearing they sat to rest. Sang poured tea from a thermos. "You see now, nephew," he said, "books can teach you many things. But the land has its own lessons." Sun nodded, "And the people who live with it carry those lessons." He looked out over the water, imagining the white snake gliding just beyond sight. In his mind, science and folklore met like two branches of the same river. The sun climbed higher, birds chatted in the canopy. They packed up, ready to head back, their feet damp but their spirits high. As they retraced their steps, Bar Min said, "Tomorrow I'll show you the fishing nets. Maybe you'll see your parent sea snake for real." Sun's eyes lit up. "I'd like that very much." They walked on, four figures along the levee, the swamp at their side, the horizon opening toward the river. Behind them, the cajuput trees whispered like old storytellers, holding their secrets. The next day dawned brighter, the mist already thinning as the first rays touched the water. A kingfisher darted over the canal, flashing blue like a shard of sky. The four men, Sang, Bar Min, Old Man Bei, and Sun, walked toward the cajuput swamp once more, carrying only a thermos of tea, a bamboo pole, and their own stories. "I dreamed of that white snake last night," Sang said, adjusting his conical hat, sliding past us like a ghost. Old Man Bei chuckled. "Dream or omen, we'll see." Bar Min tapped his net bag. "I brought a small net, just in case we find something interesting for the boy to photograph." Sun smiled, though his stomach fluttered with a mix of excitement and caution. "Remember, uncles, no catching venomous snakes. Photos only." The path grew softer underfoot, the swamp alive with the sound of insects and the faint scent of wild mint. Sunlight dappled the water, dragonflies hovered like tiny helicopters. After half an hour, they reached a shallow pond where reeds formed a green wall. "This is where I once saw a big snake," Old Man Bei whispered. "Could be your ho mang chua." They stood still, scanning the water. A rustle came from the bank. Something moved, slow, deliberate. A dark head rose above the grass, eyes glinting. The men froze. "That's a king cobra," Sun said softly, his voice steady but low. "Look at the hood, the size. Don't move." The snake slid forward, tongue flicking, tasting the air. It was magnificent, nearly 4 meters long, scales glistening olive and black. It paused a few meters from them, head raised. Sang swallowed hard. "We back away?" "Yes," Sun whispered, slowly, no sudden movements. They stepped back, 1 foot at a time. The snake watched, then lowered its hood and slipped into the reeds, vanishing as if it had never been. Bar Min exhaled. "My heart's pounding like a drum." Old Man Bei wiped his brow. "In all my years, never stood so close to one." Sun knelt, jotting notes. This was a rare sight. "They're shy, prefer to avoid people. We were lucky." Sang shook his head. "Lucky, felt like death watching us. Lucky to see it and walk away unharmed." Sun said gently, "King cobras aren't mindless killers. They defend themselves if threatened. We respected its space. It respected ours." They moved on, still trembling but exhilarated. Deeper in the swamp, they reached a small sandbank. Bar Min pointed. "Look, a snake on the branch." This time it was slender, black and white banded. "That's a banded crate, cap near." Sun said, "No touching, just look." The crate lay coiled, motionless, like a piece of patterned rope. They circled at a distance. Sun took photos, zooming in without stepping closer. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he murmured. "Beautiful and deadly," Bar Min said. As they watched, the crate slipped off the branch into the water, disappearing among floating leaves. The men stood quiet, the swamp's heartbeat echoing in their ears. They found a dry mound under a tree and sat to drink tea. Sang's hand still trembled slightly as he poured. "Boy, today I learned more than in all my years," he said. "Books are one thing, seeing with your eyes is another." Sun sipped his tea, feeling the heat calm his nerves. Science and stories meet here. Both teach us respect, for the land, for the animals. Old Man Bay nodded. "Respect, that's the word. My father told me, Ran Kong Chok Nguoi. Nguoi Cho Chok Ran." Bar Min laughed softly. "And the sea has its own rule. Don't lift what you don't know." The sun climbed higher. Birds called from the canopy. They began walking back, their boots squelching in the mud. At the edge of the swamp, Sang stopped and looked back. "Maybe your Onglon watched us today. Or maybe just a king cobra doing its rounds." Sun said, "Either way." Bar Min said, "We leave in peace." They reached the levee, the field stretching before them, shining under the noon sun. In the distance, the mango tree waited like an old friend. Back at the house, Timut had prepared a simple lunch: fish soup, pickled eggplant, and fresh rice. As they ate, the talk turned to what they had seen. The fear had softened into wonder, and the wonder into quiet pride. "You know, son," Sang said at last, "when you first came I thought you were just full of books. But today I saw you in the field. You're not just a student, you're a bridge between what we know and what you know." Sun felt his chest warm. "I'm still learning, uncle, but maybe together we can keep both, the knowledge of the elders and the science of today." Old Man Bay raised his cup. "To bridges." Then, they all raised their cups. Outside, a breeze stirred the mango leaves. Somewhere in the swamp, a king cobra glided through the reeds. Unseen but alive, part of the world they all shared. Sparkles, don't forget to hit like, thumbs up, support and subscribe to Voices of the Mekong. Sparkling heart, speech balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback means a lot to us. Folded hands, thank you so much for your support.